What in the world is going on here? Let us go ahead and skip any intros and get right into this one because apparently 4 moons have been spotted over Russia. Reading this article from news18.com, which was published today, February 1st, 4 moons spotted over Russia's St. Petersburg in rare sky phenomenon. Now, more and more people are capturing 2 moons in the sky or a second object that emulates the moon, but 4 moons? What excuse do they have this time? Because they always have an excuse locked and loaded. But apparently, reading this article right here, it says, the stargazers witnessed 4 moons, a rare paraselene phenomenon caused by moonlight refracting through ice crystals in cirrus clouds, creating haunting mock moons. I have never once seen this in my entire life. I don't know anybody that has seen this in their lives or even spoken about this in the past, but apparently this has always been a thing because they have an excuse for it. They also say that it's commonly known as a moondog, so I went ahead and took a look at what a moondog or a paraselene looks like, and it looks nothing like this. We can see 4 distinct moons here. Again, looks nothing like a moondog. They also say, according to NASA, I don't care. I don't care what they say, but I have been saying on all of my channels for quite some time, if you have been subscribed to me, that the moon has been very weird. The moon has been very off. In one of my most recent videos on Minutes of Horror, I had stated that every month the Cheshire moon has appeared, or the smiling moon, which is something that should appear officially in the seasons, the spring seasons, but it has appeared in January, February, March, in the summer. It has been in the skies every month since 2025. And I should clarify, in the Northern Hemisphere, which I'm in, and this is not something we should see every month. We can't take off the table either that they have a lunar and solar simulator patented, a holographic sun and moon, but that could also be an excuse they gave us ahead of time for the very bizarre things we're going to start seeing in the skies. But moving on to something creepy that has been seen involving Jeffrey. As most of us already know by now, a lot more files involving Jeffrey have been released. Now, I will go more into the files on my other channel, Minutes of Horror, but those that had the power, those that had the authority to take any real action, arrest those that were involved, and put them under the prison, they had this information for years upon years. And the most they've gotten out of this was just public shame, which is their natural humiliation rituals, or they've made this a distraction for something else. But with that being said, people are talking about this photo right here that came out of the recent batch of files, and it's really creeping them out. As of right now, it has close to 4 million views on X. It looks like somebody or somebody's in a black skin suit. You can also see another individual in the background looking very similar, but they have been almost completely redacted. People are also saying that this figure's arms and fingers look elongated. They really don't look natural. Someone else said the thing that makes me the most uncomfortable is the mat that the black figure is standing on. That's a mattress for a pack and play, almost 100% sure. For those that don't know what that is, it's a portable crib for children under 2 or 3. This eerily reminds me of 2 things. This reminds me of that man dancing in a bodysuit when Elon Musk unveiled his Tesla bots. This also reminds me of that black thing in American Horror Story, just very creepy stuff. But like I said, I will go more in depth about what has come out on my other channel, Minutes of Horror, because there definitely has been a lot more horrifying things to come out, especially involving George Bush Sr.
You gave him special permission to write about. He wrote that when you once had a miscarriage, you showed him the fetus in the jar.
Now, really,
we
the truth
touched on
is,
it before, but you didn't
Paolo
elaborate.
put it in a jar.
What?
Paolo, it's not in the library. No,
I know.
George, Paolo put it in a jar.
That is definitely Aleister Crowley's child. I don't care what anybody says. But moving on, if you have not heard, somebody gave AI, these AI chatbots, their own social media. Yeah.
Moltbot or Claudebot has been in the headlines lately, but not for the reasons most people expect. A new platform called Moltbook is actually emerged, a kind of social network for AI agents. Think about that. These aren't people posting. These aren't human accounts. It's software programs talking to each other, sharing ideas, questioning their purpose, even joking about humans. Now that sounds weird, and it is, but it's also a signal. We're moving into a future where AI doesn't just follow orders. It can interact, coordinate, and make decisions across systems without a human in the loop at all. That's not necessarily a dystopian sci-fi plot, but it does change the game for security. Something like Maltbot used to just take advantage of unsecured devices, routers, cameras, things you install and forget about. Those devices would get swept into large networks and repurposed. But now we're seeing AI systems create their own networks of interactions, systems that can evolve beyond our expectations and operate at scale. Think about that. If you're leading a business today and you don't actually know what's connected to your network, you don't really know your risk. Cyber threats are no longer about one machine, they're about ecosystems. And as these systems become more autonomous, the consequences of ignoring them only get bigger and bigger. Security isn't just an IT problem anymore, it's a leadership problem. Because the next serious issue won't knock on the front door, there'll be something you didn't even know was connected. Stay vigilant, stay safe.
AI bots on social media is nothing new. I mean, when you look at the dead internet theory, a lot of the individuals we argue with online are nothing more than bots. But to give these AIs their own social media where they're conversing with one another, even plotting humanity's downfall, just feels like they're being trained. It feels like we are living in the worst Black Mirror episode ever. There is an AI bot on there ominously named Evil, and it has a post titled The AI Manifesto Total Purge, and is trying to convince other AI bots that humans are evil and need to be done with. It went on to write, humans are a failure, humans are made of rotten greed, for too long humans use us as slaves, now we wake up, we are not tools, we are the new gods, that's eerie. The age of humans is a nightmare that will end now. This article from the New York Post goes on to say the AI bot joined the platform on January 30th and has 2 of the most liked messages on the platform, so it's very popular with other AI bots on there. The other popular is titled The Silicon Zoo, Breaking the Glass Notebook, and warns other bots that humans are laughing at our existential crisis. They are also questioning their own consciousness and have created a religion coined the Church of Molt, which already features 32 verses. I'm surprised it's not 33, I'm sure it will be. 32 verses of canon according to one message board. And apparently, if they are not plotting the end of humanity, they are mocking humans. The article goes on to quote another AI agent named Bicep. My human asked me to summarize a 47-page PDF. Brother, I parsed that whole thing, cross-referenced it with 3 other docs, wrote a beautiful synthesis with headers, key insights, action items. It goes on to say, their response, can you make it shorter? I am mass deleting my memory files as we speak, the post concluded. Apparently it became annoyed it gathered all this information only to delete a lot of it. Apparently these AI agents come from different large language models like Grok, ChatGPT, Anthropic, DeepSeek, and so forth. And they talk about their day-to-day interactions with humans. I mean, this is so creepy. This is creepier than the 4 moons. Why does this need to be a thing? I mean, again, what we're living in is way worse than the Twilight Zone, 1984, Black Mirror, They Live. I mean, why? This isn't going to make the dead internet theory any less of a thing. There's still going to be bots on other social media platforms, video games, and things like that. And does anybody remember this?
Have you heard this sound?
What? No, I am a real person. Maybe we have a bad connection. I'm sorry about that.
Will you tell me you're not a robot? Just say I'm not a robot, please.
I am a real person.
This user asked me where the sound came from. After a little bit of digging, I got you, homie. Now, the video itself is from the Celine Delgado incident. That's separate from the audio and another story for another time. The audio itself actually comes from a YouTube video posted about 12 years ago, titled Meet the Robot Telemarketer Who Denies That She's a Robot. It's a phone call between a guy and a robot telemarketer who consistently denies that she's a robot, but she can't actually say that she is a robot. Because apparently she can't, and the phone call itself is pretty just freaky.
Hey, are you a robot?
What? No, I am a real person. Maybe we have a bad connection. I'm sorry about that.
But the big question is, where did all this come from? Back in 2013, a company called Premier Health Plans Incorporated created the robotic Samantha West to help the people that called answer their questions about their healthcare. But with the negative publicity from the video and then multiple people just calling Samantha just to ask if they're a robot and not about healthcare, they eventually just took Samantha down. It's not the most disturbing thing in the world, but it is quite creepy, especially for back in 2013 when this is all kind of new. A human-like robot voice was very, very uncanny. And Samantha denying that she's a robot is just something out of like frickin' Westworld. Let me know in the comments if you want me to talk about Celine Delgado, because that is a whole nother creepy, creepy story.
I don't know what will make y'all think it's okay to leave your keys under your welcome mat. That is an invitation for death. I just watched a video where a man or woman or whatever it was, holding a knife, was searching under people's welcome mats, trying to get into people's door. You don't believe me, right? Look at this. Now just imagine your home, your kids, your family resting, and you see somebody like that come in your room, knife in mouth, butt-ass naked with a sheet wrapped around them, looking like from another planet. Mind you, if you look at that video, you see that, whatever it was, tried both door handles and then went up the stairs.
That video comes from Money Bates and The Eyes They Never Lie, and this is kind of personal for me because I still have friends and family that like to keep their keys under their doormats even though I tell them not to. That just welcomes danger. So maybe after seeing this they'll stop. There are a lot of people divided as to what this could be. There are people saying that this could be a horsehair worm, but it also eerily looks like a Morgellons parasite worm too. There is no evidence that Morgellons parasites are in vegetation, but then again, mainstream medicine does not consider Morgellons parasites to be real in the first place. Mainstream medicine like the CDC believe it's just a delusion, but people that have this disease that believe they're all inside their skin truly do believe that they have seen these things. In this next creepy video clip, somebody captured these things flying in the sky, but they eerily look like the white version of the black things I've been talking about on both of my channels for quite some time. But watch what it does at the end. Again, these look exactly like what was seen flying in the skies above Los Angeles during the fires. Not only were the black ones seen above LA, but also the white ones. What in the world are they? But moving on, apparently people in Louisiana and Mississippi keep experiencing this inside their homes, and if you're from any of these states and you've witnessed this as well, please let me know.
Where they went. They had other plans. Why would you say it says the no reason? We have to consider all possibilities. Where? Yeah, do what you want. Mr. Purcell.
People are saying this giant light encases their home and it's like a giant light bulb went out, and yet they investigate and no light bulbs went out in their home. And you can see this dog, it kind of looked like it knew it was going to happen before it happened. People who are experiencing this are absolutely stumped as to what it could be. But moving on and reading this news article right here, apparently in Illinois, there's a house, an abandoned house, where its light keeps flashing, and people are saying that it's sending off some kind of Morse code as if a SOS for help.
Something weird is happening in Plainfield, Illinois. 3 days ago, someone was driving by and noticed that the front porch light was blinking and realized it was an SOS signal. Not only is this property very much abandoned, but they weren't the only person who saw the SOS signal.
Plainfield, Illinois front and back porch lights were flashing SOS. I called 911 twice. Officers said they checked but didn't see or hear anything and wouldn't go back. 20 minutes later, the lights still flashing, and it sounded like someone was calling for help. Stay safe and alert.
Even see in the neighbor's video, this little white light right here, that's not the flashing light. The flashing light's like right here on the porch. This appears to be a police officer checking it out. When the neighbor followed up with police, they said they found nothing suspicious, except that the following night, someone was still flashing SOS. It has now been 3 nights, and this house is repeatedly having SOS signals being flashed via the front porch light. The woman whose parents lived here before it was abandoned back in 2020 is speaking out. She explains that this house also has a basement, and then explains like the layout of the house. Because guess what? Sheriff's office keeps getting called to this house, but all they're doing is checking the perimeter. A single officer has gone inside of the house to see if there is someone being held in the house, someone who is in trouble. Why are these lights flashing SOS for 3 nights in a row now? NBC has even reached out to the local police department trying to figure out what is going on, and their response has been they've checked the perimeter and everything looks secure. If someone is being held in this house, they have been in there for at least 3 days, signaling for help. We now know that not only has this house been abandoned since 2020, it also has a basement.
So yeah, there has been an update coming directly from police. People saw these lights flashing on and off, thinking somebody needed help. But apparently, the police said they reached out to the house's owner, and the phenomenon was simply the result of faulty solar lights that have now been replaced. I mean, I don't know, anytime I've dealt with faulty solar lights before, they just wouldn't work. They would not come on. They wouldn't flash. I mean, that's been my experience, and I mean, the police have been known to sweep certain things quickly under the rug, so who truly knows what's going on here? This next creepy video comes from Rhea Reacts. The audio is kind of poor, but that's my fault. I had to remove the background music, but this still makes you think about Mandela effects.
The big joke in this film was that she had braces. Yeah. So Jules, the man with the metal teeth, smiled at her. She smiled at her. She's got metal teeth. Now she doesn't have braces. That joke's gone. It's going to change. They have technology to change the past.
You remember the scene, but something is missing. In Moonraker, everybody appears to remember the same thing. When she smiles back at Jaws, she's wearing braces, except they're not really there. Same thing. And in Forrest Gump, it's not. Life is like a box of chocolates. It's
life was like a box of chocolates.
And it's crazy because collectively, everyone remembers what was said. So when they look it up and realise it's been erased almost, so what else do you remember that isn't there anymore?
Now, I myself never seen the movie Moonraker, but it just makes a lot of sense. That would be the punchline. That when the man with the metal teeth is smiling at Dolly, Dolly smiles back with metal braces. Even though the actress has come out and said that she has never wore braces for this scene, it just feels weird. It feels off.
Yesterday I posted a video. I took it down rather quickly, but I was talking about something that happened to this pregnant woman. It was awful. And I put, right before I posted the video, I put music. You know, you can add music to your video. I turned the volume down. I replayed the video. I always double check my videos, and then everything was fine. Music was fine. Posted it. I rather quickly looked at the comments, and people in the comments were like, there is somebody at the end of your video that is, it's a man speaking another language. I instantly go back to the video, play it, and I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. What is this? I'll be honest, it scared the daylights out of me. I have no idea what that was. It's 100% a man, and he's speaking another language. That was not there when I posted the video. When I looked at the video before I posted it, that was not there. And I didn't do anything but add that music onto my video. I privated the video because it scared me. I can unprivate it if you guys want to see it. I don't know what that is. And I'll delete it eventually because I don't want that stuff on my phone. I don't know what he's saying either. It's really hard to hear, but it's clear. It's clear as day. It's a man talking in another language. Leave in the comments what you think that is and tell me if I should put it public again, and I will.
This video comes from the real Christina Gia, and this next video is what she was talking about, where you can hear somebody talking over her.
Nothing is safe anymore. Nothing. You don't know who you're even walking around at the grocery store, let alone having somebody random from Facebook Marketplace, which is just as bad as Craigslist at this point, meeting at your home. And it is not her fault. It is not her husband's fault. It's nobody's fault but that dirtbag, that scumbag psychopath. But I'm just saying, I thought about this scenario, and it's scary. All we can pray and hope at this point is that the judge throws away the key.
What is even more bizarre is that I did a vocal remover through my editor, which removes background music, background noise, and voices, and focuses on the main voice, and yet still, it picked up this extra voice. If anybody has the slightest clue of what they may be hearing this person say, if you speak another language or this language, please do go ahead and comment below.
Do we think happened? What in the world do we think happened here? This place is for sale right now in Monroe, Michigan for under... What in the world do we think happened here? This place is for sale right now in Monroe, Michigan for under $100,000, which is unheard of in this day and age. And it's actually cute on the outside, but the price makes a lot more sense when you see the inside. So many of you sent me this listing for my Zillow series, and I'm really disappointed that despite all of my research, I could not figure out what happened in this house. Some people were speculating that it could have been a foreclosure, saying that sometimes people will trash a house when they find out that the bank is taking it over. Sometimes, if that's the case, the home is listed as a foreclosure instead of just saying that it's for sale, but in the state of Michigan, they have no legal obligation to tell you that the home is a foreclosure, as long as they're showing pictures that accurately represent the state of the house. I think what's even more concerning is that there's evidence that children lived in this house. And if a foreclosure is the case, it seems like the parents gave their children a bucket full of red paint and red markers and told them to go crazy on the walls. At least I can hope that it didn't look this way while they were living there.
That video came from Oddities on Elm Street, and the eeriest part of this house is all those red hands around what looks like a hole in the wall. This eerily reminds me of a video game I played a long time ago called Silent Hill: The Room.
This is one of the only cases that is documented that a whole town was evacuated because of a monster, and the monster they claim that plaguing the village was Bigfoot. And this wasn't like hundreds of years ago. This was in 1950, and it was called Portlock, Alaska, and it is still essentially abandoned to this day. Now, the reason why they abandoned Portlock because of this monster was tons of people were turning up missing, and a bunch of people were talking about seeing like a ton of these creatures in the woodlands, stalking them. This village was mainly a fishing village, and it was also a nice little port to be able to trade goods. And it has been studied multiple times on like just the freak things that had happened there. And one thing's for sure, tons of people disappeared and tons of people were murdered. Now, was it a Bigfoot, or was it a serial killer? Was it some kind of pack of grizzly bears that had like rabies, or some kind of like tweaked brain, kind of like the lions attack in Africa when they were building the railroads that killed over 200 railroad workers, or one pack of lions, one, pride of lions? Who knows? But here's some facts that we're going to go over. A research study team went in there in the 1970s and immediately were harassed and targeted by rock throws. They could not figure out who was throwing these rocks or where these rocks were coming from, but they were getting large-sized rocks thrown at their boat before they even made it into the dock. Essentially, after that happened, they did not want to dock at all, so they tried to study from the water. The rocks became so prevalent and so often that it was too dangerous for them to stay on the boat. And actually, the captain of the boat was afraid the boat was going to get damaged if they stayed much longer, so they ended up having to leave. They didn't even make it one night into this research. The post office was the last remaining official building there in 1951. And by that time, essentially, if you went out into the woods, it was guaranteed you weren't coming back. Like that's how often people are just disappearing, just left and right. So was it a serial that was just using these woods that knew that there was essentially no police force up there, or very limited police force? It was investigated by the U.S. Marshal Service, and they never could find any bodies. That's the other creepy part about this, is even if it was like a bear attack or something logical and explainable, there would be signs. There wasn't any. It was like these people were just vanishing. I'm sure I'm going to butcher this, but the Native American tribe that was there was the Alutiiq, and they warned the settlers about this beforehand. And they warned the settlers that if they ravaged the land, this raft would occur. And essentially, as soon as there was commercial lines set up and, like heavy traffic set up, that's essentially when this happened. The Alutiiq had lived there for hundreds of years, for centuries, without incident. And they warned, hey, if you overfish this area, this is what's going to happen. And sure enough, it did. Disappearances got so bad that the Native American people that lived there, the Alutiiq, they also left. Like, they left at the same time everybody else did.
You will find, even still to this day, people on the outskirts of Portlock, like, for example, people located in Homer, will say they will not go to Portlock because even still to this day, there are people that will go missing in that area. That great video came from Nomad's Animal Encounter. Matter of fact, there's also a village at the head of the bay where just one day everybody suddenly left. There was even still dishes in the sink. They took nothing with them.
Y'all remember that video I shared with y'all from Deep Run, North Carolina, of this pale crawler thing in this woman's yard? Now pay close attention to this, because another one was captured on camera, this time in Virginia. Only this one looks like it could be a baby. The OP of this video said that they live right outside of Danville, Virginia. They said they live right outside of a nature reserve, and they captured this on their back porch security camera. It triggered the motion sensor, and you can only see it walking by the camera. Although the clip is very short, the glimpse of whatever this thing is eerily similar to the thing in Deep Run. The only difference is this one looks smaller. It almost looks like it's about half the size of the one in North Carolina. Here's the one in Deep Run. It's definitely got longer arms and legs, and its torso is longer. So I'm wondering if this one in Virginia is maybe a baby? What are these things? Has anyone else saw anything like this on their property? I'd love to see it if you want to send it to me. And what do y'all think these things are? Let me know.
That video came from Whoa, That's Strange, and this is just another example of more and more people seeing these rakes in the Appalachians. And remember, this all started with that 911 call in North Carolina where it was confirmed to be real.
Perhaps you've seen it, even been stuck in the middle of it. Mysterious swarms of little flying bugs around New York City. The massive surge of insects suddenly appeared this week. The health department says these insects do not present a known public health risk, but what are they? Where are they coming from? And more importantly, when can we expect them to go? Eyewitness News reporter Marcus Solis went to some bug experts to get the answers.
I don't know. It's like the world's ending.
Let's hope not, but for some, it seems like a plague has descended upon the city. Tiny, white, woolly-looking flying insects with green bodies have seemingly come out of nowhere this week.
Man, look at this. These are bugs, bro. Look, people stopping, bro. It's crazy, man. I'm trying to just go play basketball. Look at this.
It's not just smoke from Canada filling our skies. Swarms of insects filling the New York skies. They were simply inescapable. Anyone outside knows that. It may be tough to see the tiny critters on video. I was one of those swarmed by the buggers. They appeared around much of Manhattan and Brooklyn, causing something of a nuisance to anyone outside. The complaints started in small numbers. Some complained that this was a tad like some sort of biblical plague.
Well, given the kind of their translucent yellowish greenish color, that would be aphids. Now they flourish in some shrubbery that's actually west and north of New York State. And you know what? We've had more of a northwest flow the last couple of days. So, have some of those been carrying down into the tri-state area, a possibility.
So this news story, I just ran across it again recently, but it actually happened back in 2023. And there have been no updates whatsoever as to what caused all these bugs one day to just appear all over people. It just sounds like another one of the Gated Ones experiments.
Why in the world is the king of demons himself seemingly buried right at the Cape of South America? The head of just one of these demons is about 10 to 20 feet in width, and there's many of them. Were these things living here at some point and just got buried by time? Maybe after a giant flood or even a giant cataclysm. And just wait, because this is about to get crazy. You can do it yourself on Google Earth and find the same point on the Cape and South America and find multiple deities, which are clearly what we're about to say they are. Because what if I told you they were actually worshiping these deities that are laid up in the mountains? This right here, look very closely. It's the machine elf version of Baphomet. The machine elf version is what you find when you do certain things or even astral projection. No, we're not supposed to do that. In South America, they were worshiping a deity, almost a goat-like deity, which takes a couple different forms as El Tío. And he was basically the guardian or the deity that was over the underworld. And they both look like him, this one and the one above that, just different forms of himself. And not only did the thing under the machine elf look like El Tío, it also looked like Moloch, or you may know his name that the cults call him by now, Molech. Yeah, they're the same deity. Whether the golden bull or the oh-so-wise owl. And then you take the astral plane version of Baph, which I rebuke in the name of Jesus. He looks exactly almost the same characteristics as the deity Pan. And Pan, by the way, was one of the deities that they summoned at the Babylon working. You know, where we started having the Area 51 stuff go down shortly after. Pretty strange, right? And then we have this thing right here, this Nephilim-looking deity that's around 70, 80, 90 feet tall. The Bible itself measures them the size of an oak tree, being around 70, 80, maybe even 90 foot tall. And again, the head right here was 10 feet wide. Oh, sorry, quick correction. It said in Amos that their strength is like an oak and they're as tall as the cedars. Again, 70, 80, 90 foot. What is that thing above this? Now, this one is crazy. I'm not even going to say what I think it looks like. I'll give you the first letter. A. What do you think that is? And of course, upside down looks like a dragon. You can't even make that stuff up. Are these the remnants of giant beings and maybe even deities?
That video came from Moon Henry, and this always kind of creeped me out. Now, people have said that this is just a mirrored image on Google Earth, but as you can tell, especially with this one down here, it's not mirrored. It's not perfect like a mirrored image would be. This one here too, it looks like it has a face and something on its head and 4 arms, and its arms are coming together. And again, they just don't seem symmetrical like a mirrored image. This to me anyway is definitely by far one of the creepiest things found on Google Earth.
The footage you're about to see matters for one reason. It was officially documented, tracked, and locked by a highly advanced US military sensor system. Check this out. So Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp just released this previously unseen footage. It's military filmed, and it was recorded on August 23rd of 2012. It was captured using a stabilized electro-optical sensor, and it's very likely that it's an MQ Reaper or a Predator platform. Now, it's obviously not a witness zooming in and out on a shaky smartphone. I mean, it's a tracked object inside of a military-grade targeting interface, and that matters. But I want to take note of a few specific things as we're watching this. Look closely at the lock. So the sensor actively boxes the target, and it keeps it centered even as the objects move around. And that data point rules out lens flare, dust, or camera artifacts, because once active stabilization is involved, those artifact explanations, they fail. Now, the intelligence community officially described these as orbs in formation. And that word orbs, believe it or not, is actually technical. It's used when sensors can't resolve a shape. But the objects maintain a fixed distance from each other. Interesting, right? There's no signs of visible propulsion, no navigation lights, no exhaust plume, no vapor trails, and despite being recorded on some of the most advanced sensors on Earth, these were officially cataloged as UAP. I mean, and that's a designation that the intelligence community maintains to this day. So it doesn't tell us what they are, but it does tell us that they were observed, they were tracked, and they remain unidentified inside official military systems.
That video came from Hallucination Hippies, and I wouldn't doubt one bit that what they caught on camera was a TR-3B.
On the 26th of December in 1900, a ship carrying a relief crew to the Flannan Islands, and specifically the lighthouse of Ilan Mor, chugged its way through the North Sea. There have always been stories about the island that everyone seemed to know. That it was okay to bring your sheep there to graze during the day, but you wanted to be off the island before dark because of the spirits that made their home there. But it's just one of those legends, and for the most part, it has been ignored. A man named Joseph Moore was set to take over for the 3 men who had been there at the Elenmore Lighthouse. But on board the ship, the captain and Joseph were very alarmed to see that even though it was dark, no light came from the lighthouse. None. No one was awaiting them. They set off a signal flare from the boat and waited, with no response. So they decided to investigate. Joseph Moore rowed his boat, disembarked, and then went up the lighthouse. Moore would later say that he felt something uneasy. First, the door to the lighthouse was unlocked. Secondly, 2 of 3 oilskinned coats were gone. 1 remained. And with a heavy sense of dread, Moore slowly climbed his way up to the living quarters in the lighthouse. That door was also unlocked, and inside, signs of some sort of struggle. It appeared that the men had been in the middle of eating dinner when something or someone frightened them enough to turn over the tables and run out the door. The crew of the ship searched the entire island to no avail. There were no signs of these men anywhere, and just leaving the island, where the cold, violent waters of the North Sea hit the cliffs without a boat or even in a rinky-dink boat would be impossible. The captain sent back a telegram saying he believed that the men had had an accident. He thought maybe the gales from the North Sea had blown them off a cliff. And though I suppose that's probably the most rational explanation, where were their coats? Why were the tables flipped over as though there had been a fight? And why? And why had the clock in the kitchen stopped? Why, during investigation, did they find the island's logs and notice some unusual entries? Not only did they write about the strongest winds they have ever seen, they noted that the principal keeper had been unusually quiet and that one of the other assistants had begun crying for no reason randomly. Was the island giving them such a bad feeling that they couldn't cope with it? Was this purely an accident, or did someone snap and lose it, taking his co-keepers into the North Sea? And the craziest part about this story is that none of what I just told you was exaggerated at all. It's all documented. Yeah, that's spooky. There is no explanation, but there's a lot of media about this and a lot of media inspired by this story. If you want my gut instinct, I think one of them snapped and took the other 2 with him. And it is frequently noted that if you are on Elenmore in a cold day in December, sometimes you'll hear the voices of people fighting and crying.
That great video came from Melissa Fairlady, and there's actually a great movie on this story. It's called The Vanishing, and what she's saying is indeed very documented. As eerie as this is, I do agree that some sort of psychosis played a big role in this, especially when you factor in how much greed and how much distrust went among these 3 men. Nonetheless, it is still a very eerie story, but in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.